listeners to Yeah Aha with Lisa, Phil, and Aaron, who is tardy. We have not heard if he's going to be able to make it tonight. We're speaking with Rhonda Parker-Taylor, who wrote the suspense thriller Crossroads. Welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you for having me, and I love the our neighborhood guest here.
Right.
Right.
I'm a big animal lover, so having a cat versus I have.
What can I say? She's into pretty blondes.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Yeah. The reason why you can't, she's looking at the actual TV screen. Our monitor is a 55-inch television that's above the camera by about a foot. So to make eye contact, I have to look here.
Mm-hmm.
To look like I'm looking at, for the screen, I look up at the screen. It's, yeah.
Makes sense.
We've read the book, and it was fun. It was a really good read. There was a lot of courtroom drama in it. There was a main mystery. There was a lot of twists and turns. There were a lot of interesting, like
mysteries and mysteries.
Yeah, red herrings and intrigue. It really kept you going.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. So you want to go over, like, I don't know what I would be spoiling if I were to, give you my thumbnail impressions of the book. I wouldn't want to reveal something that maybe you wouldn't want to. So why don't we hear from you a little synopsis of Crossroads?
Sure, I would love to give one. I think the main thing to understand about Crossroads, and I have a copy here for this that might want to see what it looks like, is I had an idea when I started. And originally, I thought it would only be about the courtroom drama, more about that than the people. And then I realized I was getting away from my nature. My nature is that I love people, and I love the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, all of it together. When I get to know people, I like to know what makes them tick. And so I found that as I was writing Crossroads, that the characters kind of took over. So when you say that there's a lot of red herrings and twists and turns, I wanted people to see that when you're put people together in unusual circumstances like a jury or a courtroom, you have people from all walks of life, and they're having to learn to navigate that. And so Crossroads is not only, it's based out of Indianapolis. It's the year's 1982. The main character is a workaholic. So those of you that are from the Midwest, when you're born and raised in the Midwest, the one thing that everybody says is you got to work, you got to work, you got to work, you got to work. And if you don't work, this is a problem, right?
Right.
And these are the consequences. So the main character is, starts out wanting to be, her best at everything. And then she gets called to jury duty. And that's when things change. She starts evaluating her whole life because of it. She's seeing young people that are locked up and realizing that, that's not going to be, a good outcome for them. She's seeing a housewife that's wanting to get out of the house, and she doesn't quite understand her, but, and all she wants to do is get back to work. And because of that, it starts revealing that life just isn't the way it should be for her. One of the reasons it's endorsed by Mariel Hemingway. I don't know if you noticed that or not.
Yeah, we did.
We were going to ask you about that, of course.
Star 80. I remember from Star 80. That was the first time I saw her.
You know her from other things.
Yeah.
Yes, and she was, and her grandfather is Ernest Hemingway.
Right.
I
And
know a little story about Ernest Hemingway that he he's the one that lived in the Keys, right? The Florida
right,
Keys. Okay,
yes.
well, one day he was doing something and he had some mail on his desk that he was getting ready to mail. The mail got pushed out the window by some wind or something. Something happened with the mail. It ended up on his lawn. Well, uh, that mail, he didn't know what happened to it. It was gone.
Right.
Okay. Well, it ended up getting to where it needed to go. So from then on, he just threw his mail out the window and someone would take it
And,
and
and
get it delivered.
that's
I
I
great.
just always thought that was a funny story.
That's
That is
very
a
fun.
very funny story. And they have a very miraculous
You're right.
history. If you ever watch any of the documentaries on him or his family. And when I originally was approached and talked to the publisher, Mindster, they're like, we think we have someone that might be interested in reading Crossroads. I think it's right down her alley. And they're like, "Ooh, if you were going to pick someone to endorse or write the forward, who would you pick?" And of course, I'm a small town girl. I'm not thinking that, I'm like, well, if I was going to go pie in the sky, I guess I'd go Tori Spelling, or, you're thinking about people that are in thrillers, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, you need Mariel Hemingway." And I'm like, why would Mariel Hemingway be interested in Crossroads? What would be the connection? They said, well, if you see her documentary, and of course I grew up in the Mariel Hemingway days, and we all wanted to look like her. We all wanted to, be able to act like her and everything. And they said, well, her whole life is Paris, your main character's life. Her life has been littered with drama and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's all about, now that, she's older and she's matured to a point that, she's all about making sure you have life balance and making sure you have, healthy practices. And so they said, write a letter. And I'm like, well, we haven't even edited it. And she's like, no, they want to see it she wants to see it in the raw. And so I got the package together, got it to the publisher. They delivered it, and like a week or two later, she replied after she'd read it, and she said she would love to be the endorser of it.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
not only did she write your forward, but there's even a kind of a
Video.
I guess you'd call it a trailer kind of video on YouTube.
Yeah,
that
and
she recorded about the book. And I love that. It's a suspense.
I guess we all come to a crossroad that challenges us to look at our relationships, our friendships, and all the ways we show up in the world. Rhonda Parker-Taylor's crime novel, Crossroads, takes you through a journey of reflection as you follow Paris Pennington and the realization that even chocolate has an expiration date.
But it's also a kind of a really commentary, as you said, on work-life balance.
Yeah. And so what I found in that moment of listening to her trailer or her review of it and reading her endorsement or her forward for me is I realized that the book itself was a little bit bigger in the aspects of what we do when we make decisions. Mm-hmm. And when we put our alignments in the wrong places or, and I realized she really got it because Crossroads is, yes, it's a suspense thriller. If anybody's wanting to know what kind of suspense, it's more like an Agatha Christie than a King, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't go so much into the gore of the death or, that happens
or the supernatural.
Yes, it's more of the feel of what the people are going through. And when I read read the last part of her endorsement and saw the last part of her video. I would say that actually actualized me. I felt like, okay, you know what? All that time, all that energy. And then when she said that there comes a point when we all have a crossroads, and that to make decisions, and that even chocolate has an expiration date. I thought, you know what? She got it. No wonder they thought that she should be the one to consider endorsing it. And I feel very privileged. And I think that anybody in their career and in their aspirations should follow those dreams, because sometimes you just don't know how it's going to work out. And it doesn't matter if it's 100% success, 50% success, but you did it, and you back yourself by
We
doing
should
that.
say Aaron has joined us.
Aaron, Rhonda,
Greetings.
Aaron.
Hi.
I was just talking about
Sorry
Mariel
I'm late.
Hemingway.
Yeah. Had no idea it was past 5 o'clock. I was working.
Surprise.
Well, we were
Hello.
talking about hard work, so a
Yeah.
perfect example.
And I think that's I think that the book perfectly speaks to a Gen X, more Gen X than Boomer, but a Boomer Gen X work vibe more than the generations that have come since.
Yeah. You know, I have to say, I didn't pick up on the fact that it was 1982, but now that you mention it, there were no cell phones in the story, and there weren't AI or any discussions of like high tech or anything like that. So, but
No, I want it to be kind of pure the people. And so that's why where they had to do the detective work, they didn't have a camera on every corner that they could review. And the second book, actually, that is with the editor right now, the working title of it right now is Chosen.
okay.
But it takes the young girl and takes her through her life. So you don't have to read it in sequence, because it's really focused on her, but you'll see some of those characters again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Now, let me ask you: was the central crime that she's on the jury for, did that have inspiration in reality, or was it just a device?
Well, I think it was 2 or 3. I'm going to say it's both. First, during the period of time when I was writing it, I was working on a project that was monitoring the court systems in Indianapolis, to make sure that they were equally distributing their prosecutions, but also to help communities take back to their communities in crime. And so some of that feeling you're going to see is coming across because I saw it. I saw there are no winners. There are no losers. The actual murder itself is fiction, and the location is an actual location. And when I was trying to decide where I wanted it to occur, I knew I had to have the body dropped. That's the first thing in any kind of a clue game or murder mystery. The body's got to be dropped somewhere.
Yeah. Phil and Lisa's basement. I volunteer Phil in Lisa's basement.
Okay.
No one will ever find the body, Aaron.
Do not go down there. Let me get that for you.
So I'm
No
driving
one will
back
ever find it.
sessions. I'm driving back from one of these sessions, and it's overcast and it's hot and there's steam coming, and I pull off the freeway into this little area by the railroad tracks, and I'm like, this is where the body needs to be dropped.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those eerie, like you kind of cringe in your own little seat as you're driving through, and you're
It's
looking
like an
around.
epiphany. It's epiphany. You actually just the vision just.
Well, and
Change,
I know that there are people who here's a goal for you. There are people who come to Stephen King's hometown and to Cincinnati that I know of to go to the sites that are talked about in books.
Right.
So there you are.
Right.
And I wanted to put a little history in it. So each one of the locations are actual locations. So if
So if
the
you're
city
from Indianapolis, it would be,
act-
yeah.
Or
was
no,
that,
So if you're from Indianapolis, then those are things that you'll
Actually,
identify with. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
so the circle, it describes the circle. It the city county building is the actual city county building. The mayor's office. When I was working with that on that project, I had the opportunity to go into the mayor's office and see what it was like to overlook the city from there. So there are things that are my experiences, but it's not my the book itself and the storyline is not my experience.
All right. You talked about the character development, and I had an appreciation for that. For instance, I felt like the characters of Danny and Billy sort of reflected kind of a of mice and men type dynamic, it seemed. I could imagine Danny was kind of the leader, and that Billy was maybe the one that was a little more bewildered or got into trouble.
developmentally disabled.
Yeah, a little bit. And so that was interesting. And I like the way the relationship between Paris and Dave. That was touch and go at first. I was like, well, Dave is he's kind of pulling a fast one on her a little bit, and but as it went along, you got to see that he did like her and he cared about her, and so, but that was interesting because that would throw you off as a reader a little bit. You would say,
And then you've
maybe-
got the mystery within the mystery. You've got the murder trial. And then you also have the mystery of the part of it's not just being on jury duty that sends Paris down another road. It's also some interesting and unusual situations that are occurring in her personal life.
yeah,
Right. Exactly. And I think that what you're seeing there, and actually you're the very first people that have noticed that there are disabilities in every single one of them. So my approach to character development, because my academic background in research is a little bit different than most writers. I use a medical approach to defining my characters. So when you go into a doctor, they do what's called a SOAP note. And that's what creates our medical records. They go through and say, what's your chief complaint? Your chief complaint is, oh, I've got a sore throat, right? And then they go through and they, go through every one of your body, functions and ask you about them. And you tell them what you're experiencing. But then they go back behind that and they type in what they see. So, for instance, they might say, dressed inappropriately for the weather.
okay, yeah,
Have a flat effect, which means no emotions. Or in like Billy's case, you could tell that he had some challenges standing up for himself. And so then I go to the DSM-5 manual, which is the diagnosis manual for mental illness. And I check off the box. So this person has anxiety. And so that's when they have problems breathing when things happen. This person's getting sick. This person has emphysema. What are their challenges? Because then when they get in a room, you can tell what's going to happen. But with them personally, their behaviors, their thought processes, everything, their activities.
yeah.
And the reason why we may have picked up on that is for over 30 years, I have reviewed charts for physician completion.
Oh, there you go. So you picked it up. There you go. So
Most of my family's a little nutso.
Yeah, everybody's this. We all have something. Like for me, believe it or not, I had learning challenges when I was younger. And I probably wouldn't have graduated had I not had a mentor that decided to help me with my English.
Mhm.
And she was a little lady that was 98 pounds, literally. She'd been teaching for 20, 30 years by the time I was in that age. And she said, you know what? I will tutor you over the summer to get you through your English proficiency test.
That's me. And look at you today.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, hobnobbing with
And
the Hemingways and
so much stuff, and especially with girls, so much
Mhm.
stuff goes undiagnosed.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I was lucky. I was super weird. So I got diagnosed by the time I was 12 with ADHD. But, you know, but I also think I might have some other stuff on the spectrum.
Oh, I'm sure we all have.
Yeah.
I've never been diagnosed, but I know. And if you
Yeah.
know my family, we all have ADHD.
Mm.
Yeah.
We're always moving, have 5 projects, finish one, go to another.
right. Well, you
We'll have
you
5
mentioned
bottles
it.
of
15
water.
piles there. You know exactly what's in every pile, but you can't find your keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have no idea where my keys are. I don't think I've seen them in 2 months. I work. I don't need them.
Right.
You mentioned the mentor, and we talked about when I went to Oakland City College briefly, and I met Dr. Shufflebarger, and that was like I felt like that was a missed. I feel like that was a crossroads in my life, right? I went there. I felt like I was going to, I was breaking free of home, and I was going there. I was going to make my own way, and I feel like I'm torn a little bit about what happened there because I really liked her, and I felt like I became her assistant in that short period of time. I was like helping her with transcribing some notes that she had, and I was doing some stuff on the side, and she was paying me for that. And
Mhm.
so I feel like that was sometimes I think that's a missed opportunity, but then I think about it and then I'm like, well, I never would have met Lisa if I had not
Yep.
made the decision to leave
If you hadn't left,
in the dead of night.
yeah,
It was in the dead of
that
night.
situation,
Yeah.
we might not have been us.
Right. So
So
that was a crossroads.
I might be married to an alcoholic from Louisville.
Oh, well, that wouldn't be good. So see, he
Doesn't.
was
Now,
shining
instead, I married a half alcohol. No, just kidding.
But I
He's
think
not my cousin. He's adopted.
Oh.
No, he really is adopted.
Who are you talking about? You're talking about
I'm
Kurt.
just kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, Kurt's biological and ew.
Oh,
No
no.
offense.
Oh, I
Kurt.
know who you're talking about. You're talking about. Never mind. Let's
Yeah.
let's
That's
get it off.
beside the point.
Let's get it back on the crossroads here.
One of the people I flirted with the most during my life is my aunt's adopted son, Kevin.
Kevin.
Oh,
There you
That's
are.
That's
We've
right.
said that we've named the puppy.
Kevin interrogates me every time I go down.
Yeah.
aw. He's probably very
Anybody had a shot.
yeah. Well, and he was probably anytime you have we'll just say a puppy love or crush or
Right.
whatever, you always remember that person, and that person's always fond to you,
Yeah.
and you want to take that
Yeah.
relationship.
And he married a woman who puts up with his shit.
No, okay.
That wasn't me. We'd have been divorced.
Oh, okay.
So Paris has a friendship, a really good
Moving
friendship.
on.
Yeah. She has a really good friendship with a character in it that it's such a strange thing, friendships, right? I mean,
She's got a best friend who's
some people think
she's jealous of her relationships.
Right.
I don't think there's any kind of no kind of sexual attraction between them or anything, but there's a feeling of possession that exists between them that becomes uneasy, especially for parents.
Yeah, I think that too. That one of the things that I liked about that tension between them in friendship is it happens. I mean, it happens a lot in relationships. If you don't keep
More with women, I think.
Yeah, if they don't keep the bumper cars in line,
Mhm.
you end up getting out of boundaries, and then it becomes almost codependent, where when they're in a relationship, the other one's upset, and when the other one's in a relationship, the other one's upset, and it has this tension, and then they end up using each other as a sounding board, during life's struggles, but at the same time, it ends up not being a healthy relationship. And I think that comes out pretty loud and clear as far as, and I really hope that while people are reading it, they're analyzing how they navigate with people. And I have coming out, probably it's going to be about a minute. You ready for a news flash that nobody's seen yet? Because I just got it.
Absolutely.
I did print it.
Lay it on us.
Nice.
The cover for the workbook for Crossroads. And what I'm doing is I did this with my classes a lot, and it's going to be an actual workbook where you can sit down and work through your life balance, and your life. And because so many times when we put our goals down, we only do our career goals, our finance goals, but do we do our relationships? Do we do our home? Do we do our spirituality? We might do our physical health, but are we doing what we can do for, our nutrition? And it doesn't have to be, we're going to do this big, long list. It's a practical guide of us saying, okay, what do you really enjoy in your life? And are you really doing it?
Yeah.
Because when I do this every 5 years for myself, and then I'm like, why am I not sharing this? And I find that I get off balance, and let's say I think, I'm perfectly balanced. I'm 30% this, 30% this, 30% this. But then I realize I'm spending my personal time sitting down watching TV, but it's number like 50 on my things that I enjoy to do. So really, I'm not getting my full fulfillment because I'm spending more time on the things that doesn't bring me joy.
Right. But but I mean, so we were talking about this thing with Lisa said maybe it was between women mostly, but I mean, I've even seen,
I think the jealousy relationship situation is a little more female.
I do too, probably, but I
Female-
wouldn't want to put somebody in a silo. But what I was getting at,
because
I've seen it in men. I've seen it. I've seen it where
but
shit. I used to go fishing with this dude all the time, and now all of a sudden he likes to go gambling or something like that on the weekend. I'm not into that shit. So what's up? I'm done. You see that?
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean, that's part of your mental makeup. I think. I don't think it's unhealthy. It can be unhealthy.
What do you
gotta
think,
get away
Aaron?
from it. Yeah, Aaron. I was pretty. Aaron has no problem making friends. He makes a lot of friends, right? What do you think, Aaron? Have you ever seen anything that's?
I don't know. I don't know if I make a lot of friends necessarily.
Well, from my
Leave the
point of
house
view,
out.
you have way more
from my
friends
point of view, you
than
make a lot of
we
friends.
do.
Yes.
All right.
Right.
I
So,
don't know about the quality of those friends.
Yeah, some of them were not really approving.
But some of them may be
Mhm.
acquaintances
Just-
more than friends. But you have a larger group.
okay. So what was the question?
Jealousy, male versus
jealousy,
female
like
friendship.
non-sexually oriented jealousy of
Oh yeah.
of the time with your friends.
Yeah. My buddy Mike's always upset if I can't golf with him.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you got time for this. You got time to go watch your grandkids play Little League. Oh, but you don't have time for Mikey and golf. Oh, I see how
You
it
gonna
is.
be there on my
Oh, yeah.
deathbed, Mikey?
Right. Well, your butter's bread when you're like 95, your grandson will be
Tell
taking care of
Grandpa and hug me every
That's-
time we see each other,
That's
Mikey.
that's point number one, and point number two was last time I made the tee time and he flaked on me the night before, and I still had to go golf
it. Yeah.
and get lectured by the lady. Next time we're going to start charging for no shows. Okay,
Oh.
okay.
But see, you're not as
Like,
effective.
wait a minute.
That doesn't
Charge
affect.
him.
You find that
Yeah,
amusing.
I would have, but
Not like
it's-
all ate up about it. You're not
Yeah.
like, you're not
No, I didn't.
talking to
I
yourself
mean-
about it or anything.
I would have been more productive staying home or doing other stuff.
Yeah. Right,
Mhm.
right.
You know,
Little
I
considerate.
wouldn't have gone, I wasn't going to go golfing alone, but I ended up having to.
Yeah. But
So that's kind of similar. That's a similar case brought up to Paris, because she's used to having a set schedule and being very focused on her day to day, but then now she has this trial, and then she's unable to make her normal workouts and tennis with Jenny. And what's Jenny doing the whole time? She's complaining about it, and she's acting as if she's excited about the fact that Paris has other things to do, but really she just wants her to go back to her routine of catering to her.
Right.
right.
Yeah, and that's where I would have to say, this is a temporary situation. It's not that I love you less or that I don't want to do to keep to our routine. But unfortunately, this is it's an honor that I have been given by the government to represent my fellow man. And as soon as the trial's over, it's you and me again.
Right.
Only Dave.
And James.
Who, whom Jenny is encouraging, Dave.
That's right. You see, you mentioned the dreams. That's right. She has the dreams.
Dreams.
Yeah.
The dreams.
Paris
Oh,
has these dreams where she's she's kind of really, if I feel like it's kind of a melancholy, she's looking at herself sort of in these dreams.
Right.
Yeah.
And she's realizing, and she's looking at the fact that, she's so worried about, and how many of us are like that? We worry about everybody else's stuff, and we're not worrying about our own, and whether we're actually getting the full fulfillment of our situations, so out of our lives. So I really challenge the listeners out there to make sure you're disciplined and to yourself sometimes, because that's the whole lesson in Crossroads. I tried to not only the personalities but the emotions that go along with day-to-day life and how we navigate it.
Yeah. So, I feel like we could be revealing too much of the plot. And when I started reading, sometimes it's difficult for me to get into a book. And in this one, it took maybe 15 pages, I guess. And when I finished the book, I went back to the beginning, and then I realized how much everything tied together. Because it took me a while to get my footing and to really, for comprehension. Aaron slags me because I listen to books rather than read them, and it makes a good
slag
point.
you. I just have to read them myself.
Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So, but
I'm
my
a listener, and that's why he is.
my comprehension is not probably what it can be if I would take the time to turn the pages rather than listen. I grant you that. I believe that. But
Yeah.
Everybody has their own ways. Some people are sight people, some people are hearing people, some people are kinesthetic, where they have to do something to actually learn and hear it.
Yeah.
right.
And I mean, you mentioned that you had a mentor in high school that helped you to the point where you were almost concerned that you might not even graduate. Well, my mother was my mentor, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so I was reading by the time I was 4.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I've been a lifelong reader. At this point, I have an audio book, I have a paper book, and I have a Kindle book. So I read them at different points. Like the paper book is for if I leave the house more.
Right.
The Kindle book is for when I'm doing something where I can read, but I can't move for whatever reason. And then the audio book is when I'm working.
Right.
But I mean, the detectives, officers Brown and Smallwood, are sort of the, I would say kind of like the glue of the story, and that they keep coming in and out. They're kind of nondescript. You think of them as kind of like, by the book, gumshoe type detectives, and, but when I went back to read the beginning again, I saw how integral they were to the story, kind of.
Now,
But
I rode around with the police when to kind of get a feel, because that's not, I'm academic. Yeah. So what does that do to give me the feel of what it's like to be an officer? I've never been in that situation. So I actually signed up to ride around with the police, and what I found in that, never saw a murder or anything during that case, during that point, but what I found is that they see so much that it's almost like watching a football team or a sports team as they're talking and bantering back and forth, because that's how they get through each scene. Like, I saw a lot of accidents and stuff that were just horrific. And the way they get through it is through that
Gallows humor.
presence, or that even if it was a female officer, it's almost a masculine energy that
they
they
got a game plan.
back and forth.
They got a game plan and they're like executing it. They even meet before the shift and have like a conference about, I don't know what you call
What
that,
are you
but you
gonna
see it
do
on
for the
TV.
day?
Yeah, and yeah, I see that totally. That there's a method to it,
Right.
and by sticking to that, it keeps them from acting with emotion or too much indiscretion.
Allowing it keeps them from, and it's kind of like that kind of thing. There's a certain, I don't want to say cadence, but it's an emotional distance.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a professional distance in things like emergency rooms and first responders. They have
Right.
to have a gallows humor and an emotional distance, or it's just not, they're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Well, it's a really good, I would advise anyone to pick that up.
Definitely
and
read the book.
read some of the things or listen to some of the things on YouTube. Miss Mariel Hemingway, her testimony, or she actually wrote the foreword to the book, right?
Yeah, wrote the forward also.
Right.
And I think that the one thing that we haven't kind of discussed about Crossroads is the emotions that we're seeing in society today that I put in there, and that is anger, fury, and jealousy. All of those caused crimes every day in our lives. And when I was trying to pull it all together at the end, and I was like, there's got to be something that makes people think. And those three emotions were throughout all, whether it would be the outbursts or the anger that someone's doing or the jealousy, and I ran into a saying in Proverbs, and it doesn't matter what religious thought you have. Proverbs is considered historical too by most people. It's almost in every religion, and it's also a historical book, believe it or not. And it says, anger is cruel, fury is overwhelming, but who can stand before jealousy? Envy makes the bones rot. And I thought to myself, what a powerful thought. If and those are the three things that always cause crime.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right.
Well, agreed.
Yeah, greed, but that's jealousy.
Yeah.
You want something someone else has.
Maybe
Envy.
poverty.
What'd you say?
Maybe poverty.
Yeah, poverty. Yeah, definitely causes crime.
Right. But yeah, but at the core, they're like core you know, like tenets of the motivations, you know,
Mm-hmm.
of crime. But that's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one. Poverty
Yeah,
sometimes.
hints of motivation.
Yeah, the other side of the coin from greed.
Right.
Right.
And that was my original premise for writing Crossroads, was seeing the injustice and seeing that there is just no winners.
No.
When there's a crime, and you get into that courtroom and you put everybody in there together, whether it be the victim and the victim's family, whether it be the prosecutor, the defense, the perpetrators, the jury, the judge, everybody's in there thrown into one little pot, and nobody's going to win. Even though you think there's a winner and a loser, it's all about the way society is.
The moment that girl was murdered,
Mm-hmm.
everyone lost.
Yep.
Right. But we should say, not to give anything away, that it was not the only crime committed
In the book.
in the book. There was also, there was another.
And that's enough spoilers. Thank you.
Yes. So yeah, we'll give you an opportunity to give us your socials and everything like that in a minute, in a couple minutes, because we like to play a little game at the end of our episodes, and it's not difficult. And Lisa says it takes me longer to explain it than to do it, so it's not going to take.
Let's just play.
It's not going to be too taxing.
Are you familiar with brackets? Like the 16, the Elite 8, the Final
Yeah.
4?
Well, in Indiana, yeah, she knows what the lead is.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
similar except different.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to give you two options.
Okay.
And in this case, we're calling it suspense shows.
Okay.
And so what we've got is two TV shows that you can say, I like this one better than that one.
Okay.
Suspense or mystery,
Okay.
you know.
And there's only 8. We do four sets, and then
Mhm.
2 sets, and then the ultimate winner of the show.
Okay.
So, and of course, these brackets are completely made up by us. So if you want to blame us, feel free to send your comments or questions or whatever on our social media. Thank you very much. So that said,
Do you
go
want-
ahead.
Okay, well, I'll be the Bob Barker of this episode then, and or Wink Martindale, whichever you choose. But round 1, the first matchup is Psych versus Scooby-Doo.
I picked Psych.
How about you, Aaron? Do you know these?
I'm gonna go Psych with
Yeah, I think I will too.
All right, so that's a sweep.
You know, the next time you come visit, there's going to be a pineapple in your bed now, but you won't know when.
Unsolved Mysteries versus 48 Hours.
If I were flipping through the channels, we'd stop at 48 hours.
How about you, Lise?
Oh, 48 hours.
Aaron?
So I'll say Unsolved Mysteries.
Paternity Court versus People's Court.
I like People's Sport.
Yeah.
Aaron?
I'll go People's Court.
Paternity Court is kind of funny. It's basically a courtroom version of Maury.
Suits versus LA Law.
And guess what? LA Law is the one I'm going to pick.
I'm afraid I'm in love with Mike and Harvey, so Suits.
All right, Aaron. Now, you actually are tasked with breaking the tie on this one.
I've seen an episode of LA Law. I haven't seen an episode of Suits.
Round 2.
I think somebody fell down an elevator shaft.
No.
Oh, yeah, everybody saw that episode.
That was freaky. I never
Yeah.
watched LA Law, but I saw that clip. That
was actually based on a true story. They
believe
just
it.
worked it into the show.
Probably happens every year, I guess.
I don't
I
know.
think it's more unusual than that.
Nope.
It
Don't see
happens
that
every
many
year
open
on
elevator
soap
shafts.
Just about every soap opera has one of those types of incidents. And I almost actually did. There was an open elevator thing, and there was, to be fair, yellow caution tape, and I still almost walked onto the elevator that wasn't there.
That's because you read while you walk.
But it was on the first level,
Or you did.
so I would have fallen like 6 feet.
No, I fell in a water hole before.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was walking. It was Halloween, and I was walking, and someone had taken the cap off, and
I did.
Oh,
Oh.
wow.
I'm not trying to one
Oh,
up
okay.
you, but I did
Like
too.
Like a manhole?
Yeah.
Huh?
That's right, Phil, you did. Vaguely
A
remember that.
manhole?
I was
You've both
walking
fallen in
along.
manholes?
Yeah, I was walking along and I fell and it wasn't that deep. I was like up to my armpits and ground, but it's like I got out of it easily, but yeah, not trying to upstage yours. I mean, did you go all the way down inside of it and have to get,
No, actually, I fell halfway. So
okay,
you beat me.
well,
I've fallen everywhere else.
gotta be competitive, everything you do. So,
You name it, I've tripped over it, fallen on it, or injured myself because of it.
right. Well, yeah, Lisa's got us both beat because I was talking to her like one of our first dates. I was talking to her walking along and I'm still
Yeah,
talking to her.
walking along.
And I looked down and she fell down about 5 feet behind me. It's
I was just gone.
But
He's like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "What?"
I thought it was cute at the time.
I just fell. What?
Could have been hurt.
Like, it's like, you go to the doctor after a certain age and they say, "Have you fallen in the last year?" Yeah, my doctor and I just look at each other and laugh.
Yeah.
All right, here we
So-
go.
Yeah.
Round two. Psych versus 48 hours.
48 hours for me.
Okay.
Psych is the only one I've seen.
Okay.
I'm
You need
gonna go psych too because I prefer fiction to fact.
People's Court versus LA Law.
Probably People's Court. I think it keeps your attention a little longer.
Me too.
Definitely Wapner.
Well,
Yeah. 7 minutes to Wapner. I'm a very good driver.
So now we've got the finale. This is the,
Psych versus Wapner.
yeah. What do you got, Rhonda? What do you got?
I think I'm gonna have to pick Psych.
I think I will too.
All right, Aaron. So
Although I
Yeah.
think there's quite a bit of fiction on the People's Court.
Yeah.
Psych
Yeah.
is our winner, but Aaron, how would
Psych.
Psych, it would have been a sweeps. All right. That's perfect when it works out there.
Whoever thought it would come down to the pineapple.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd probably gone Monk over Psych though.
Well,
Psych was
Some
like the
of
lead
us-
into Monk for a
one of
while.
us hate Monk.
I don't hate Monk.
I
just-
actually originally
that's
we were
harsh
talking
to
about
say that.
Psych over Monk.
I just didn't find his idiosyncrasies as endearing as some people seem to.
Mhm.
I like Tony Shalhoub. I liked him in the Miss Maisel. He was good
Oh
in that.
yeah.
He was the same character.
Not fire. But
No.
yeah, I see what you're saying, but not entirely.
Similar, but not the same. No.
But he is kind of manic in the
Yeah.
same way, isn't he?
Yeah.
So
I liked him on you didn't like him on Wings. You really
Well, I
didn't
didn't
like
like-
that
I didn't like
character.
Wings.
But you
I
didn't
didn't
like
like
the
that
show.
show much.
Yeah.
So I shaved into a softball mustache today, man. I'm
I
ready
thought there
for
was
the
something different. I don't know. Maybe I didn't know if it was the shirt or the eyebrows, but yeah, you don't have the beard.
mouth brow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No soul patch for Aaron right now. So
No.
all right. So you gotta be
There's
able to
like
run the
three
base.
other mustaches in the lineup, so I
That's right.
had to get one.
Mhm.
All right. Well, you got a game coming up here shortly, so good luck on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's
He
it's not
knows
till
we podcast
not till
on
8:45
Thursdays,
my
so he
time.
joined a. He knows we
He
podcast
almost-
on Thursdays, so he joined a softball league.
Yeah. Somebody at work asked if I wanted to join. I said sure.
Somebody wants another piece of Aaron.
Which might be part of why or Aaron does have more friends than we do because he's open to doing things.
Yes, I will give him that. He's open to doing more things than me for sure.
Mhm.
But Rhonda, it's been fantastic having you. We really love the book. So
Thank
why
you.
don't you tell our audience how they can get the book and how they can connect with
Where
you
can they find ya?
on social media?
Find me. I try to make it easy. It's RhondaParker-Taylor.com. Rhonda's with an H. All my social media is Rhonda Parker-Taylor also. So I'm on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm on TikTok. I don't have that many videos. I had them and they all disappeared. So I don't know what I did. But there was
I think they time out, don't they?
No.
they have
Mhm.
to. It's like all of
Oh,
a
I
sudden
have no idea.
it just went away. But I guess TikTok's gonna go away too. So what does matter, right?
Like, I'm still trying to figure out how to use those effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep pressing the button and nothing happens.
All right.
How am I supposed to find out if I'm a Muppet?
All
But
right.
thank you.
Ask
I-
Miss Piggy.
I enjoyed it. It's fun.
Yeah,
Ask
good.
Miss
No,
Piggy
I
or
was
Fozzie.
the-
They could
I
tell
was
you.
the prawn. Peapod prawn. I did find out which Muppet I am. Peapod
Ah.
prawn. I
Okay.
wanted to be the Swedish chef. I love the Swedish chef. Him and Animal.
Okay.
What were you saying there?
I'm sorry, Aaron. go
I don't
ahead.
know, something about Muppets.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Miss Piggy.
Oh yeah, ask Miss Piggy, something like
Oh,
that.
ask Miss Piggy.
So
She should have a column.
Yeah. How do you know if you're a Muppet? Ask Miss Piggy is what I said.
Ah,
that was a good one. All right. So when the next one comes out, we'll have you back, Rhonda. Have a good night. Really enjoyed
Good.
it.
Thank you.
Bye everybody.
nice.
Bye.
We have social.
Twitter,
Yeah, pod.
Instagram,
Yeah, pod.
Facebook.
Yeah, pod. So let us know. Hit us back. Have a great week.